It's round 2 of the Gamers on Games charity games. He is bringing on a full 850 TV list using the United Mercantile Federation again. It is just a really nasty Grizzly setup, while on the other hand I am bringing the tried and true Naga with some new elements to the usual list, a Spec Ops cadre. Now, I'm actually rolling in a lot of things I've learned from my battles with Defler. I'm actually pulling in a lot of recon drones, which is something that you normally won't see me use because they've been annoying enough for me to learn from that mistake. His objective in this game is to hold the 2 center buildings while protecting the 1 cadre that he has. I, on the other hand, have a different set of objectives. All I have to do, and I was very lenient in my objectives that I picked, was to just recon his gears, take a look at the rock formation that High Command had mentioned looked like boobs or something, and stop the UMFA from entering my deployment zone. I took blockade as the last victory point option. Now, I purposely picked my objectives to be very easy to obtain, so I do not deploy very aggressively. I deploy within a thin line on the back, forward as I can. I don't really intend to contend his objectives of holding the center. I only intend to recon his and play it safe, so that I can purposely get the 6 points and he might not be able to get all of his. And even though I get the objective, he takes a command point and spends it to usurp the first person running, and he activates his Jaguar up there on the hill and he starts using it to forward observe, and then he starts blowing out the command points as fast as he can from his commander to get the fire orders out from those Grizzlies and start pummeling the mess out of my strike group that's out there in the open. The Spec Ops units don't have anywhere to hide and they don't have any cover, so they get the worst of it as guided mortar rounds land all around them and takes out the 2 IC in one savage blow right out the gate. I lose some 70-80 TV point unit. Well, that's ominous. But hey, I should have known better, right? I took a bit of a chance on that by putting the things out in the open. I was hoping I would be able to move forward, but he command pointed it out. I tried to command point to kill him first, and it ended up being a complete mess. Nonetheless, that did not slow us down. We're going to move that blazing Mamba up along the northern end of the board because we're going to do exactly what we did in the last game. It worked the last time, why not do it again? And we're going to let him go out there and hopefully open up a flank on those Grizzlies and make a mess of them, or at least give them something to consider while the rest of the forces take up their positions in the center of the town. Strike gears and Spec Op groups move forward into the town. He responds in kind by moving the tank forward ever so slightly and moving the rest of his gears very, very cautiously up towards the town. He doesn't have to move very far because he got pretty lucky in that the buildings that he are supposed to seize was pretty close to his deployment area. Now that Aller is an impressive tank. I like it. It's got a great main gun and it can stand toe-to-toe with the Naga and win every time. My strategy right now is to just deliver damage from behind cover. I'm going to indirectly fire the ATMs at it. I got enough recon drones and I managed to tag it so well that the ATM had to get re-rolled because he decided to spend a command point on the defense roll. It bounces, the 8GM connects and manages to put the tank into light. Talk about your lucky strikes. I can't send the Naga out to engage him directly. We're going to have to hide and let the Aller just take a beating from the recon drone, so to speak. And at the close of turn 1, we've already moved forward. The ESE has taken the center of the town and they are pressing the initiative as much as they can. They've got a flanking movement moving on the north. We've already damaged the Uller pretty well, and it looks like we're going to be able to contest the center building. Even though that isn't our objective at the moment, we're going to leave our options open as far as we can. My buddy here, he does not like the fact that his Uller got damaged, so he moves one of his gears forward. He forward observes the Naga, which he can see, unlike the stealth-laden Snake Eye that's right next to him, and then starts calling in the fire support, going for area effects so that he can splash the Snake Eye as well as the Naga, and does quite a bit of damage. It absolutely demoralizes the poor Naga, and despite not even being the center of attention, the Snake Eye manages to get tagged as well, leaving it to light and then to heavy. It was a literal fusillade of fire coming off of those grizzlies. We got guided mortar rounds, MRMs, just splashing the whole area, trying to do some sort of damage to it, and it turns out to be quite effective fire. And as the Spec Ops units move forward to hide behind the rock formation, they start getting weighed into by small arms indirect fire from the various gears out there. Again, he's making a fairly well-established maneuver that I wish I did more of in the past by using those petty little bottle rockets of a rocket pack to do a little bit of damage, or at least, in this case, give me something to be concerned about, because they made all their defense rolls. At this point, I've actually made it a point with the Jaeger on the southern end and the Spec Ops groups in the center that I have actually looked and reconned all of his units, except for one Grizzly sitting out there and behind the rock formation, which the Blazing Mamba is moving back there to take care of anyway, so hopefully I won't have to worry about it just being reconned. I can worry about it being dead. Republican forces continue moving forward. They now take the city center, continuing a maneuver that they started on turn 1. They have virtually no one to oppose them except for one Northern Jaguar that is currently playing a game of cat and mouse with the rest of the gears and is hiding behind one of the buildings. They begin moving the Uller up forward so that he can make his presence felt, and the southern forces begin bracing for the inevitable impact of arms by just hiding along the wall and hopefully applying a suppressive amount of fire from the Naga, hopefully disabling it the moment it comes around the corner. And on the northern end, the Blazing Mamba starts making his presence felt as he does a sturdy box of damage to the Grizzly that did not see him coming and caught him completely flat-footed. It's too bad he couldn't kill him. He got a good roll-off on him. The Uller swings around, having won initiative, and sees the commander. The southern commander standing out there in the open, right in front of the Uller. I panic fire, start opening up everything I can against him to try to put the darn thing down. Oh my gosh, it's about to hit, because he opens up with a ram, runs him over. And it's a defiant amount of fire that is being thrown at it that is utterly useless, as I do little more than just scratch the paint on the Uller, leaving me defenseless to the oncoming treads of that heavy behemoth of a tank. It's got a great gun on it. What does it do? No, just run him over with the treads. That's foreboding. So I lose half of my command points immediately, and it goes to the 2IC to take control of the army. Well, guess what? He died in the first turn, so the last person left, Sarge, they killed the Sarge, is the Naga back there in the back. He just happened to have Leadership 1. I wasn't intending it to go 3 ranks down to be the next leader, but now I have Leadership 1 that is piloting the entire army. Oh no. But answering the call nonetheless, like Saving Private Ryan, Sniper opens up with the laser cannon, disables the Uller by miracle shot alone, even though the rest of the squad fusilated the amount of firepower into it that would cause anyone else to shriek in terror. It took one well-placed shot from the sniper to finally put that behemoth down. He realizes I only have one leader out on the board and starts laying into the Naga. His fire order actually was somewhere else. And then he went, wait, there's only one guy out there? He's the only one with a leadership skill? Oh, we know who we're shooting, so I grimace and I throw the rest of my command points away. Well, that was fun. I loved those command points. It was great. I started off the game with some 8-9 command points. I spent maybe 2. The Naga spent 1 command point trying to get a reroll and a defense roll for somebody else, and now they're all gone. Awesome. So it's the beginning of turn 4, and the game has already organically moved in a very beautiful way. I love games when they do this. That the command structure had completely fallen apart, and from here on out, it's going to get really difficult to respond to anything that he does. I have to live with whatever die roll I make, and he's going to make me pay for it. I send the Chameleon up to try to at least get just vengeance on his Jaguar out there, and he manages to not make it come through. He manages to not even give him anything to concern about. The Jaguar lunges forward. He realizes that he can diminish the amount of points that I'm earning in a game by getting him into my blockade zone. I don't have much to respond to him. He might actually make it. I send the Jaeger out there to try to stop him, but it seems kind of futile at this point. He's getting into fisticuffs with him, just punching the mess out of him, or as my buddy had pointed out, I do have a knife, but really, at this point, what's the point? He moves one of the gears out there with his snub cannon to protect the back because he realizes the Chameleon will just leap out, and there is a blazing Naga out there, or a blazing Mamba, that can just move around and actually light him up in the back. So it becomes a duel between him and the snub-nosed cannon gear. It's a really smart move. If the blazing Mamba was able to get through the area and just take the shot, he probably would have killed him, but no. Now he has to deal with the other gear, and he keeps popping out, making his shot, and then moving back into cover, and then moving back out, and making his shot, and coming back into cover. Just taunting, begging him to spend his copious amounts of command points to do something about it. Jaeger continues the melee combat with the Jaguar and can't seem to make it come through. He punches him repeatedly, but it manages not to do any sort of damage. He moves the snub-nosed cannon gear up after dusting off the Spec Ops group that decided they weren't going to move, and kills the blazing Mamba. He stepped out one more time, he spent the command point, he lit him up. It was something like 100 points of damage. Blazing Mamba in the northern end of the board moves around the rocks, finds the Kodiak that decided to come out and say hi, lights him up, but in a defiant parting shot, he burned a command point for that, killed the Mamba. Only time I've ever seen that, but it was awesome. I go ahead and scan the last gear with another recon drone, so I do have the recon objective, but it's looking pretty grim. As he moves his Jaguar forward, I have only 2 more shots. Jaeger takes a shot at him, can't kill it. Sniper takes a shot at it, and he only manages to put 1 box of damage, and he doesn't quite kill him, giving the game to the UMFA. It was a rough fight. Good game. There's a lot of things I could have done better. I should have fought a little bit harder for the first turn, and I definitely shouldn't have left those guys out in the open. And it really turned out that, especially late in the game, that the stealth gear is actually really good. You just got to put him in some sort of concealment, because he couldn't ever see the Snake Eye. He couldn't ever make a shot at him. And there was quite a few other gears that he could have made a shot at. And I probably should have moved the Spec Ops gears, because there was a turn where we couldn't remember if they moved or didn't, and if you rewind it, you'll see that they just kind of sat around tuning their Game Boys. This has been an Ouchies Batrep, and thanks for watching.
You think that if you come here and you play this game, that you are the game? I was born in the game. I was molded by this. The plastic is my blood. And I, for some odd reason, even though I'm somewhere in the Middle East, I sound like I'm from Scotland. No one knows why. I sound like a bad John Connery impersonation. I don't get it. That's how they voiced me. Because you know they couldn't hear anything through the mask. You think I wear this thing as a fashion statement? Screw you people.